We'll just talk about some little stuff while we trying to let people get on.
Okay. I'm trying to. There you go.
Yeah, it run a little bit behind from
Okay, we'll wait till everybody come in.
send out a. If people go to the page, will it automatically let them see the live, or do I need to send a link?
No, it'll YouTube should send them a notification. That's you can see them coming in now.
What about if I want to send it to my list,
You you would have to share it, like share it.
like share the live?
Yeah.
Okay, we getting ready to get going. We're gonna. There we go. I see a way to do it. For everyone that's here, thank you. We're gonna be getting going in a minute. Just want to give some more people time to come on. Yeah, right now we get like what's been having me real busy is the business customers. The business customers are coming back. Like there are a lot of them in trouble,
Oh.
from what's going on. Everybody, we're gonna be getting started pretty soon.
If everybody can hear the audio, put one in the chat room. If you can hear my voice and Steve's voice,
Somebody got Texas Cowboy on there.
that's mine.
Oh, that's your okay. All right. Good afternoon. There's someone named Anthony. I haven't seen him in here, but he might be more on. Well, no, he usually is on here. I hope he's doing okay. Anthony, if you out there, type something in.
We getting a lot of ones.
That mean we got to go up or what?
No, that mean everybody can
Oh, the
hear us.
good.
Yes. And thank
Okay.
you, Inspired by Queen TLC. Thank you very
Oh
much.
yeah, Queen T. I think I liked that channel also because I appreciated. I think that's the same one. I'm not sure, but I think that's what I'm supposed to do is to show that like their channels too. From if it's stuff that I like to see.
Right. I'd like to thank everybody who joined the chat room. Thank you, Gail Walker, Chris and Zuli Garcia, Inspired by Queen TLC, Nicholas Sanchez, Steve Brown, Rebecca Rodriguez.
We're gonna be getting started real soon. Have some good stuff. I'm gonna answer questions that I see in the comments. We're gonna dig a little bit deeper about debt settlement and bankruptcy. I'm getting a lot of questions about that. We're going to talk about Santander. I have that. I got that in my notes. Um, there was a call that we did with the customer with a Santander representative in their executive office, and then also uh, something to watch out for that they're doing to have people opt out of the settlement, which is kind of an underhanded thing that they're doing by uh, offering a refinance or deferment. Let's see here. We're almost getting ready, Larry.
Oh yeah, we getting everybody in here. I'd like to thank Daniel Thibodeau and good afternoon everybody. I'd like to thank you for coming to the weekly show of the Credit Repair Shop, where we have weekly conversations with Steve. He answers our questions and he assists us with getting our credit repair.
Yeah. Answering those questions. We know a lot of people are going through things. We know that with the way the economy, for some, it's not for all, but the way the economy is reacting to what we're going through with the virus, it's putting a lot of people in a bad situation. And it seems like, uh, you know, people are wondering like what should they prioritize, and then uh, making sure that they're able to keep their credit and and finances in order, because if you don't, you're going to get penalized when we're out of this thing. It's like like what happened in 2008. A lot of people, uh, when they didn't take care of their credit, when it got on the backside of that on 2014, 2015, when the economy really started taking off, people were playing catch up. And I want people to concentrate on it now and on their credit now, even though I know that it's tough. But this is the time to grind it through and to just make sure that you make it a priority. Because
Right.
when things start going, it's gonna, it's gonna make you just like you're ahead of the game.
Okay. Okay. Well, I do. I want to kind of talk about a couple things that we talked about last week. If you can kind of explain again what positive-minded credit repair is.
Yeah, well, the big thing, I guess, that's the easiest way to put it is that I believe that everything starts with your thinking. Like you can have two people, and I'll use credit for example, two people working on their credit themselves, or they even have a company working on their credit. The mindset of that individual, if they're a positive thinker, just it's like the universe allows different things to come their way, because if you have it in your mind, I'm going to, like, you have the goal of having good credit or excellent credit, and you constantly think about that, no matter if you're doing it yourself or you have a company doing it for you, a better result is going to happen for you. And the person that thinks negative, no matter what, it could be the best company or they could do everything that is right to repair their credit. But because they are thinking negative, they're going to get what they want. And so if you think negative all the time, the universe is going to bring you things to give you what you think about. So even if you do the right things to repair your credit, even if you're sending out letters or you're working with a company like mine, something will always jump in there that'll just mess it up. I know some people might think that sounds a little crazy, like if you hire someone to do something, uh, why isn't it done right? Well, that example I used last week with the car with an auto repair shop. Some people take their car to a shop and it's fixed and it's 100% no problem.
Right.
Go to the same shop and that other person go there with a bad attitude and it's like they can never fix my car. It's because that thinking. I'm telling you, the more I'm becoming aware of how we think is what we start to get. Uh, that positive thinking is just, it's like everything, and it means so much to me to be able to share that with people, because if you could think positive, and you have to think positive in a way where it's like you're burning the bridges. You can't think positive and negative at the same time.
Right.
Like you can't say I'm going to try to repair my credit, but things always go bad for me, so it ain't gonna work anyway. It's like you're going at it with two minds, and uh, I always try to get that across in my videos, because that's what's gonna make it different for you and moving forward in whatever you do in your life.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, um, another thing I like to, what kind of makes the credit repair shop different than other companies out here?
The biggest thing is that we take people from A to Z. And what I mean by A to Z is 99.99% of the credit repair companies, all they do is send letters. Uh, we all know from the videos on YouTube, from looking at people's credit reports, there are some accounts that will eventually have to be paid. So what we do is we use an 8-point validation system process where we make sure that if there's any negative information on your report, we number one, make sure it's accurate. Number two, make sure that you legally have to pay the debt. And then number three, if you legally have to pay the debt, which is where most credit repair companies fall off, is that we actually assist you on making a settlement
Okay.
arrangement with that company. And that's, like what you'll see with most companies, they'll just say, well, we've taken you as far as we can go. All we're going to do is send out letters, and we're not going to help you on that. You won't never be able to fully recover from credit, from having bad credit, if you, number one, can't get the negative off, and number two, resolve any outstanding collection that must be paid, not the ones that shouldn't get paid, that are statute of limitations, or they didn't prove that you should legally have to pay it. I'm talking about the ones that do legally say prove that you have to pay it, and that'll take you all the way from A to Z.
Okay. Okay. So, and how would I get started with that? What would be the process with that?
If you can go to the website, thecreditrepairshop.com, and I have a video on there that shows you in more detail of what I just said, from our whole entire credit repair process. And then you can, from there, you can go to our next page on our site where you'll be able to see what happens when you become a customer, and that'll show you everything. So go to the creditrepairshop.com, click, and just really just follow the links that show you what we do, how we do it, and then it goes to a page and shows you what we charge. We have different affordable payment plans, or you can call the toll-free number here, and Mr. Greg will give you a call back and explain everything to you if if you prefer it that way.
Okay. 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 Before we kind of interviewed, before I talked to you on the phone, we talked about the myths of the Arab business owners. Can you kind of go into a little brief description on what you were talking about on that?
Yeah, because of my one of the other companies that I own, I have a lot of Arab business owners. They own businesses in our community, a lot of businesses. And one of the things that I've learned over the years being in the credit repair business is I have a lot of uh, Arab people from the Arab community as clients, and they run into the same issues that everyone else run into with spending too much money, over financing, getting loans for their business and not being able to afford it, credit card debt, all of this. So this stuff here, sometimes certain communities may feel that it's only something that either poor people or people that are from certain neighborhoods go through. I'm telling you, it's across the board. Uh, People are struggling with credit card debt, they're struggling with bad credit. It doesn't matter the education. I have attorneys that are clients with me, and you would think that an attorney would be able to handle their own stuff, but what happens is that when an individual has stress on them from a lot of debt, from credit cards or from bad credit where they can't move forward, they start to get very emotional. And that's why they can't take care of their own stuff. So they'll reach out to a company like us. So I wanted to put that out there because we were talking about it earlier that uh, everybody from all communities are running into trouble, and there's nothing wrong with reaching out and saying that you need help or seeking out help or watching videos like you do on YouTube to try to figure out your financial and credit repair problems.
Okay. I do want to reach out, let everybody in the chat room know that if you wanted to email Steve, you could email Steve and he could possibly do a video for you answering any questions for you personally.
Yeah,
Um,
well, one thing I want to do is if they go to, and I'll put the link here, or if they have their own credit reports, I'd like to do reviews of credit reports where I would tell them how we would handle it. So like you have your credit report, I do it, I look at it, and then we come here on Friday and we'll talk about the way that we would take care of it. And you can take care of it yourself. I'm just wanting to get that information out to people to share with them how they can do it, or if they want to hire our company to do it.
Okay, so you answer questions and stuff too? Uh,
Yeah, so it'll be like, well, I'll look at that entire report, and then I'll just say point by point, this is what you should do for this item. This is what you should do for this collection. This is what you should do for, if you have something that dealing with ID theft or something. I would just review it and be able to let them know what to do. And we would do it here on YouTube.
Okay. And how long would that take? That would be like a 30-minute, hour.
Well, what I'll do is, just so that we can respect everybody's time, is what I would do is just review it, and then I would just come on here and just give the answer. I don't even have to mention the person's name. They would know that I'm going to do it, so I would want them to show up. But I would just give them the straight answers, like how it'll just be us on here, but I would tell them specifically what to do for each of those items. And I think by doing that, by telling the people what type of item it is and what we would do, I'm pretty sure the people that are watching would also be able to kind of connect with some of their things, because a lot of people have similar issues on their credit reports.
Okay. Okay. And also in our conversation, we talked about debt settlement, and that was one of the
Yeah,
things we wanted to talk about today.
yeah, this is a biggie because right now, debt settlement companies are exploding. They're advertising on TV, and one of the biggest misconceptions, and maybe uh, it might be because people are seeking help. When people have credit card debt, mainly the debt settlement companies focus on credit card debt, medical bills, payday loans, unsecured debt. It can't be your car unless it was repoed and you just have the debt from the car that you still owe. But what they do is they advertise to people and they say, well, you pay us one lump sum and we're going to settle your debt for, they don't, sometimes they say pennies on the dollar, but they say you could be out of debt in 24 to 36 months. Well, this is the thing that people need to know and understand about this, is that number one, it's not where they're consolidating your debt. They're not calling the companies and putting all of your debt into one bucket, and you're just paying them one payment. What you're doing is you're paying them one payment off of what they figured they can settle all your debt for. You're paying them one payment, let's just say 500 a month. People jump at it because they might have been paying 1,000 a month, so they're thinking I'm saving money already. And then what they do is they tell you not to pay any of your credit cards or those collections again. Don't pay them. And they're going to go into charge off status. And then they're going to contact them as your money starts to build up in the escrow. They're going to contact those creditors one by one and try to settle those debts. Now, uh, if you look at it for what it is, yeah, logically it can work out. The way that they make their money is, let's just say, for example, you had a credit card that was 5,000. They're able to settle it for 2,000. Well, they're going to add 15% on to that, and that's what their fee is going to be.
Hmm.
So logically, it sounds good. It can work if you're number one able to keep up with the payment. If you're number two able to not get upset when they're going to call you, because it doesn't stop people from calling you. Bankruptcy does, but debt settlement doesn't. So they're going to still call you every day, or every week, asking for their money and what you're going to do. And then the debt settlement company also cannot guarantee the amount that company will accept for the debt. So if you owe 5 grand, they can't make them take 2,000 or 2,500 or whatever. They can't make them say yes to that. So what they want you to do is they want you to just keep paying, and this is why they say it could take up to 36 months. Because usually, if you haven't paid someone for 36 months, at that time they could potentially be more willing to do a settlement for 20, 30, 40%. On average, when we do debt settlements with companies, they're right now they're in the 40 to 50% range. That's just where they're at, unless you can show a true hardship, something where you lost your job, you got sick, or you're taking care of a family member that got sick. They want to see a true hardship to be able to go that low. And when you do make those settlements, they're going to want that money within 10 days. So never uh, make a settlement that you can't pay within 10 days, because they'll cancel it. And that's why those debt settlement companies make you pay each month, because they want to make sure that they have that money. So when they do get an agreed settlement, that they're able to access those funds. Now, one of the good things too that the federal government did change in the law about 4 years ago is the debt settlement companies cannot use your money until they make the settlement. In the past, what they were doing is they were just, people were paying payments, and if they dropped out of the program, they lost their money.
Mm.
So now you will not lose your money. They put it into an escrow account, and you are able to get your money back. If they don't give it back, you be able to file a complaint, and you'll be able to get that money back. So, Larry, did you have any questions on that before we move over to the bankruptcy?
Well, just I would just had a question about, so if a person had a credit report like a 550, how long does it take for them to actually get up to like a 700? Like, that you see on
Now,
the
oh no, okay. Now, are you saying like if a person do if that here are the different scenarios. If that person does not have any credit that they're paying on, it's going to take a long time. If that person hasn't resolved the negative stuff on their credit, it's going to take a while. But if that person has some good positive stuff that they're paying on, like a car or a house or a credit card, it'll slowly go up. It'll slowly start going up. But if they want to get a where it jumps up real high, real fast, I talked about it last week, I think, with doing authorized user trade lines.
okay.
That's been like the number one way that you can jump a person's score. And you see Experian and some of the other companies are doing something similar. They're not actually putting a trade line. What they're doing is where they'll give you a boost on your score by either reporting some things that other companies don't report for you, like the cell phone bills, or some cell phone bills don't report. Uh, some people that you may have a personal loan with may not report. So what they'll do is they'll reach out to those companies, and then they'll somehow they're putting some type of a score together by allowing that to be placed on there. But the fastest way to do it is to do a trade line, authorized user trade line. If a person has minimal negatives, but they are still paying on some other credit, they can get a 50 to, I would say, a 50 to 75 point boost. If they have no negatives, they can get all the way up to 100 to 150 point boost on their
Okay.
credit score.
Okay. That's okay. I'm gonna kind of switch gears. What's do you guys handle issues with identity theft when you're dealing with people's credit? How often is that happening these days in the digital
Uh,
world?
yeah, it's happening a lot. We probably get about 5 ID theft files every week. Uh, and there's different levels of ID theft. And real quick, we're going to answer questions in there too. But uh, there's different levels. We've had the ID theft where the parent put some stuff on their kid, You know, we deal with a lot of that. It's an easy process, but it's a lot of paperwork to fill out because you have to deal with each company, and each company wants you to sometimes fill out their individual paperwork, and that's what makes it hard sometimes for people to keep the follow-up work. But we deal with it. There's a lot of people taking people's information and getting stuff, getting accounts on their credit. Someone had about 6, 7 years ago, someone put a Target credit card in my name on my credit report. And the crazy thing about it is they paid the payments on it. They they didn't mess up my credit, but I was like, I never had a Target credit card, so I made sure that I got it off. And some of the time, that's what they do. I forgot the term for it, but there are people that will steal people's identity. They'll get some moderate items on there, and that what they're doing on that is testing to see if people are paying attention to their credit reports. Once they see that no one uh, is checking their reports and seeing new accounts, then that's when they'll go and blow it up. So they'll put some little stuff on there that'll so they can use that information when they go to apply for the big stuff that they want to really do and do the damage with. So
Okay.
you should always, no matter what, check your credit at least minimum once a month, but weekly. With all of the stuff that's going on and how the internet is connecting us with everybody from everywhere, it wouldn't hurt to look at your credit on a weekly basis or have alerts for new accounts that might come in.
Okay. Okay. Um, I guess one of the other questions here that we had when we had our conversation was about bankruptcies.
Yeah, with bankruptcies, I had an hour long conversation with a business owner this morning. He he's in the diamond business. He sold to a Russian guy. Now, not saying like the no, I'm not saying a Russian person is bad, but this is how he explained it to me. He sold diamonds to this guy, and then like $75,000 worth, and then the guy stopped payment on it. And he was like, Steve, what am I going to do? I can't feed my family. I can't take care of the rent at the house. He still has his business, but he's not able to pay his monthly expenses. And so we talked about bankruptcy. Now, when I'm talking to him about bankruptcy, I'm not talking at it from a lawyer point of view. I refer him to a lawyer to talk about that. What I talk about bankruptcy is from a point of view of how a person is going to be able to manage their life. And what I mean by that is you cannot put paying other people ahead of you and your family. Because if you don't, you're going to destroy your family over paying a bill to somebody. And this is what I went through in the 90s when I went through my financial issues. That was one of the things that my wife and I talked about is we got to just stop right now with paying these people, and we're going to put together a plan on that. Now, fortunately, we didn't have to file bankruptcy, but if you're not able to sustain your house, a roof over your head, pay for the groceries, uh, gas in the car, transportation, all of that stuff comes ahead of paying those credit cards and all of that stuff. You know, you got to take care of that. But and you got to be able to sleep in peace. You can't be having all of these worries on your head. If you can't do that, then I tell people you might need to consider bankruptcy or at least speak with a bankruptcy attorney to see where you might be at. Look at all of your options because you can always recover financially, but it's hard to recover when you destroy yourself, your health over money, when you destroy your family over not being able to pay the bills, you're fighting, kids are watching. So bankruptcy is an option, and no one should be ashamed of it. No one should be afraid of it. I know that there's some religious stuff. He even mentioned to me in his religion that bankruptcy is looked down upon. And I told him, well, uh, not feeding your kids and not keeping a roof over your family's head and being able to live in peace is also against your religion too. So when looking at all the options, debt settlement, uh, also look at bankruptcy, because if you can't pay those bills, if you can't live in peace, then that might be an option. And the thing that I tell people to do is do a chapter 7. If you do a chapter 13, you'll usually end up into a chapter 7. You're just making the attorney more money. So if you can do a chapter 7, wipe away what you can, keep what you're allowed to keep, start over fresh, and learn the lesson from that. Don't get back into that ever again. When I went through mine, even though I didn't file bankruptcy, I learned the lesson from that, and I'm sharing those lessons with everyone here.
Okay. Uh, we're gonna go to the chat room. Some of the questions that we had in there today.
All right,
Okay.
let's hit it.
Okay. I have how do I remove a year-old charge-off that used to be a car loan repossession?
First, make sure it's not Santander. Make sure it's not Santander. And then the next thing that if it's Santander, all you have to do is just dispute it, and you need to mention that they agreed to take that information off with the multi-state settlement with the attorney general. That's all you have to do for if it's a Santander account. Now, if it's another account with another company, you're going to have to. You can try submitting it as an obsolete account. They may not do it. You may have to wait for them to either send you some information on it and do a debt validation, and then if they prove that you have to pay that debt, maybe they sold it to someone, they didn't maintain all the paperwork, then you won't have to pay it. And then you would come back around with that document to get it removed with the Bureau. Now, the way that most people will probably tell you to do it, and the way that you can try to do it yourself, is just to keep disputing it as an obsolete account. And it could potentially come off, especially if they've sold the debt, because then they don't have any reason really to keep it on there, and they've sold it off to another company. And your legal your when you design your letter is that, and this is why you also need to get your credit reports, because in the comments it's going to tell you what's actually happening with that account. So you may have to do a little bit of sending it to the original creditor to see what they're doing with the account. And then from there, you craft your letters if you want to make it an obsolete account because they sold it to a debt collection company. Or if they've maintained the account, you might end up working out a deal where you do a settlement and then you get that removed with that settlement.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Another question we have. I have a charge off of $380, but now collection confirming after me or collections coming after me for 600. Is this normal?
It is normal that they're coming after you for 600 because they're trying to tack on fees. If so, what you need to do is immediately do a debt validation. So if they sent you the letter, and does it say if they're sending them from court or if they're just sending it for they just sent them the letter, the first letter where they're trying to collect the money, or they didn't say
He
what
didn't
it.
say.
Okay, well, let's go with both ways. First, way number one, debt collector sends you a letter. You saw that or you remembered the account was $380. They bumped it up and added all this interest and fees. Immediately, what you do is you do a debt validation to them. You want to know all of the amounts that the number one, all of the charges or whatever it was for that service. You want to see a receipt for those actual services. And then you want to see if you made any payments to them. If it's a credit card, maybe you made payments. You want to also reconcile your payments against the balances that they show. And they have to give you all of that information or it's not going to be considered a validated debt. And then if it's any interest rates, you want them to disclose all of that information. You send that to them, they will usually send it back to you if they have it. If they don't have it, they'll probably cease the collection activities. Now, if they took you to court, and this is on a court summons, which I don't know if they would for that amount, but maybe they would, uh, then you would do the debt validation. The only difference is that you have to send them a copy and you have to send the court a copy. And then they'll either send it to you with all of that information in there. If they don't, you go to your court date, and then if they don't have it, then you would be able to ask for a dismissal of your case. And the grounds on that will be because you've given them enough time to get you that information. You'll be able to show them the letter, and also the court would have a copy of the debt validation request that you had. That's why you send it to both. And if they don't come in there with all of that information, they legally cannot prove that you owe the debt, even if they had just the last statement. That's what they usually have. But the law states that they have to give you everything that pertains to that debt. If it's from a debt collector, if it's the original creditor, they don't. That only stands for if it was sold to a debt collector. But if it's the original creditor, then they're going to have all of those documents, and then you'll probably end up going into a settlement. But you can say the most I had charged was 380. I'm having some financial trouble. Would you take $100? You just start the negotiations from a point that you feel comfortable with.
Okay. Okay. I, this is a new question. This is one of mine that just came to my mind. What if you had a vehicle that was repossessed and you had the bank reporting it on your credit report, and then you also had a debt collection company reporting it on your credit report?
Okay, that's an excellent uh, one for an obsolete account. When they sell that account to someone, it's going to become an obsolete account to be reported on your credit reports. A lot of people don't know that because they're thinking it can stay on your report because you actually did business with them. Like it's just supposed to be on there to show your history. I can't think of the exact law that states it, but I just to make it easy and simple, when you dispute it as an obsolete account, it's going to take that through a process to make sure that that company will review what they did with that account, and then they will end up looking in their files if they really do the investigation, and they will see that they sold that account, and then they will have it removed. We see it all the time. It'll get removed, and it's going to be in the hands of the other company. But there's a law in the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act that states that they can't try to come at you and do like a double jeopardy, where it looks like you have it on one side with like you owe with them, and then it's like you owe it with another company. They can't penalize you that way.
Okay. Huh. Okay. Okay.
Now,
We're gonna get back
yeah,
to the comments. That just kind of sidebar. Okay.
okay.
Okay. How can I get a charge from First Premier to be deleted if it's a charge off?
Same thing. First we got to see how long it was a charge off. If it's something that's recent, you might the way if it's a recent one, well, if it's a charge off, that's going to be past 6 months usually past 6 months for an account. The way that I would start doing it is just to do the obsolete account. If you're going to do it yourself, just do it as an obsolete account. They've probably sold it. And again, like I had said earlier, you might have to contact them, and you do this in writing to see what's going on with the account. And if they've sold the account, then that's going to put you in a better position to dispute it as an obsolete account because it's going to be owned by someone else that's going to be coming after you later. Uh, just had this with a customer with an American Express, where we called American Express, and American Express told us that the account was actually given to another company. And at that time, we just said, well, could you remove your information, just to see what they would say? Because you don't own the account anymore, is there a way that we can get that, that you can get us to the office to get that removed? And the person claimed that they would have someone call us on it, about it. Because, I mean, you'll be surprised that when a company sells an account, uh, certain information can't be left on there because it's going to look like you're being penalized by two different people
Okay,
for
okay.
the same account,
Right.
for the same account.
Okay.
And if you think about it, if you have a charge off for $5,000 and you have a debt collection company for $5,000, that is making your credit look like you owe $10,000 to somebody.
Right. Yeah.
And it's the same account. We see this a lot with the student loans. If anyone has student loans and they've deferred them, you'll notice a lot of times they'll have where they'll put a whole nother line, a trade line on your credit reports as a deferred account, and they'll leave the other one on there. So it'll look like you have 10, 15 student loans when you might only have three or four. So you can dispute to get that account taken off as an obsolete account. Uh, and they will, it might, sometimes it could take a few times, but they will get removed if you take it from that tag that it's an obsolete account.
Okay. Okay. The next question was, is it okay to freeze your credit while going through the repairs?
Uh, yeah, as long as you're not going to use it for anything, and it's good not to use it for anything. But yeah, you can freeze it, and then for anything that you're going to need to run your credit on, you'll have to unfreeze it at that time.
Okay. Okay. I like to just tell everybody that's watching, we got 46 people here in the chat room. Just give us a thumbs up, and we'll keep on with the Q&A with Steve on the credit
Good.
repair shop.
Yeah, and there's someone here that says, "How do I remove or were you getting to that one with the Santander one here?"
Yeah. I got
It
a
says, "How
two more
do
right
I
now.
remove or handle vehicle repossession?" Okay, go ahead.
It's got one. I'm being sued for medical
Go
bills.
ahead, and then we'll get to them.
Okay, it's just said being sued for medical bills. Are you for hire?
Okay, and what? Yeah, well, let me run you through the process so you know exactly what we would do for medical bills. Uh, for medical bills, what we would do, number one, we're gonna get them off of the credit report by using the HIPAA law to see if they have your permission to place your medical history on a third part, share it with a third party, which would be on your credit reports. That's why they're not allowed to do that. And you might be thinking, well, how they're not really sharing my history. Well, if it's any type of procedure, like say you had I don't know, some type of surgery and you went to a specialist, sometimes they bill in that specialist name, not the doctor, but the type of clinic it is or the type of service it was. That's disclosing your medical history to someone that they're not supposed to expose it to. But even if it's not, it just has the hospital name on there, we still get them removed off of the credit reports by asking that question. Sometimes they do. Some of the major hospitals have switched it up, and when you go in for services, they have a little line that says that they can place it on your credit reports and share it with third parties. But we would push to get them removed. That's step number one. Step number two, we would send to each of those, if it's collectors usually that are collecting them, we want to make sure that 100% of it is for services that you asked for and that it wasn't covered in any parts of your insurance if you have insurance. If all of that checks out, then the last step is to work out payment arrangements on those. If you can pay them in lump sum, we'll do that. Or if you have to pay them in payments. Right now, with medical, been able to get medical collections settled for very good amounts in the 20% range. Sometimes it just depends on if you're dealing with a hospital over a doctor that's just in business for themselves, or if it's a small clinic. They're sometimes they're more willing to negotiate uh, more than the major hospitals because they got more money for them to wait.
Okay. Okay.
But
And I think you already touched a little bit on the Santander. That was the last question. Can you give us a brief description of what that is?
yeah, with the what's the question that they had?
Just as the conversation he was asking about Santander exactly.
Oh, that it had on that. This is they had a settlement with 34 states, 34 states, I think, and they admitted, so to speak, to number one, setting people up with bad loans that they couldn't afford. The dealers were doing what's called power booking, which is where they stack on the value of the car, which is like you go in there and the car is 10,000, but when you leave out of there, the car all of a sudden was 17,000, and then when you look at your payoff, you're going to pay like 34,000. Like, so, we're seeing people that have $10,000 cars, but they have $34,000 in debt. And so they've agreed to do a few things to rectify that. They are dragging their feet, but they agreed to, number one, if they've repoed a vehicle from 2010 all the way to May of 2020, it was extended to May 2020. If they repoed the vehicle, uh, you can get that debt forgiven. So, and remove any negative information off your credit reports. And you're supposed to get a little $289 check. That's what would happen with that. Uh, but I would say that if you can get that debt taken off of your credit and you get it forgiven where you don't have to worry about it, that is a big benefit to you, even though you did lose the car. Now, the other group that's going to benefit the most is the people that will get to keep their car, and Santander will pay off. They'll pay off the car and give them the title. That's also in there, and there's a group of people that fall into that category. They haven't disclosed who that group is, and so what we've done and what I've seen other attorneys have started doing, I want to take credit for putting this out there, is that we have an attorney and we also have a letter that we designed that you can send yourself straight to Santander. We give you the address of where to send it to their executive team. And we were on the phone with their executive team, with a person in their executive team office last week. And they stated this is what they're doing. Uh, they get the demand letter. And in the demand letter, you want to demand, if you have the car, you want to demand that they pay the car off, give you your title, and you want to have any negative information taken off of your credit reports that they have. And you want the title. I'm lost my train of thought. You got the title, pay off the car, any negative information taken off your credit reports. That's in and you put the information about what you went through when you purchased the vehicle, because I believe that they're paying attention to that. Uh, in the settlement, they had a big piece of it where they said dealers were, like, in a way, putting a lot of pressure on people once they felt that they could talk you into getting a car. Like, people were going in there just to look at a car, and then all of a sudden they were in that dealership all the way until 4 o'clock in the evening. And what they were doing is just figuring out a way to talk you into getting the car. And so you want to state that in there too. You send it to the executive team with Santander. They're going to review it, and then they escalate it up to the legal department. And then the legal department is going to determine what they're going to do with your specific account. Now that's the good side of it. The bad side, which is where I believe that their attorneys kind of tricked the attorney generals that did the settlement, is that they gave them 1 full year to work all of this out. And if even if you are in the settlement, like Santander tells you your car, you're going to get your car for free. You still have to make payments on that vehicle until they finish out the whole process. And when we asked them how long that could take, they said it could take 1 year. So I'm like, they're like using the money that they're getting from people that's gonna be getting their car paid off to really pay off people's cars. Like I just think that that's just unfair with the way that they're doing that. But uh, that's what people are gonna have to do if you're gonna just try to see what can happen for you, is that you're going to have to send that demand letter. And if you may have to struggle to pay payments, you can call them and get deferments, as many as you can get, but nothing is going to happen until their office resolves each account. And they're saying it can take up to 1 year, which is not fair. Okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
I got
Okay.
a couple more questions. It says a closed and paid off my New York's child support account. It's on my credit report as paid off after collection. It reads like it reads like a collection. How can it be removed from the credit report?
Obsolete. Like you said that word a lot today, as an obsolete account. See, what most people will usually do is they'll say, account not mine, uh, like this isn't my account, take it off, that, this and that. What you want to do is you want to get them to review it. Get the first tell the credit reporting agencies that you believe that this account is obsolete, and then you get it over to they're supposed to get it over to the child support, and then child support should state they should take it off that it is an obsolete account, or they just will not respond. If they don't respond in that 30-day period, or 30 to 45-day period, which is what they're giving them now, it will get removed. And it could take some work, back and forth, but stay with it being an obsolete account. You might see that it comes off of one agency and not off the other. Uh, just understand that these companies are all separate, they're not the same. So just because one takes it off, that doesn't mean that the other one investigated it the same way to take it off. So you may have to do a few rounds to get that done the right way, to get the result that you want. And think positive when you do it. You made it through paying all that child support, so think positive. You had to been working hard to pay that child support off.
Okay.
We got another one on there.
Yeah, I think my sound was going in and out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. It says, how do I remove or handle a vehicle repossession of 8,144? Attended court over a year ago, and my Credit Karma account shows the account being closed and charged off. However, I made a recent payment.
If you made a payment, it's not gonna work to do that. It's not gonna work. When you make that payment, you actually reset everything, and when you make that payment, you enter into a new contract with them. That's what they would use. So if you have a collection, no matter what they say with a collection agency, you don't want to make that payment. But what I'm thinking is that this person, uh, what they did is they maybe made a payment. It said repossession, but I'm wondering if they made no, because it said a year ago, over a year ago, attended court over a year ago, and my Credit Karma account shows that the account is closed and charged off. However, I made a payment. What I'm not understanding about that is if you did you end up getting the car back? Because like with Santander, what they do with people is they'll put it into a repo status on their reports, and then people will pay a $1,500 fee and their payment to get their car back. And some of the times they don't change that repo status on their reports. So if that's the situation and you got the car back, I'm not sure from the question. If you got the car back because you made a payment, then you need to have them report positive. If you didn't get the car back, but you made a payment because a collector was coming after you and you made a payment on the account, uh, you've reset that account for statute of limitations, and the best that you would be able to do right now is to save up some money and potentially come at them and say that you would like to offer them a settlement on the remaining balance, because it's just putting you in a bad financial situation. So it says deficiency balance. So here he answered here. It's a deficiency balance, and I'm pretty sure either a collector is coming after him for it, and they took him to court, and they must have got a judgment. So what I'm thinking from what you're saying, you had a deficiency balance. They took you to court, they got the judgment, and you've been paying the payments on that. So your step where you're at, because it could be a judgment, uh, is the best. The way out of it would be to save up some money, and then you would let them know that this is a financial hardship, and you would like to offer them a settlement to pay that off in full. The other thing, if they are garnishing you, if they're garnishing your money, you need to look at the state law in your state for the guidelines for garnishment. You may not even qualify to be for them to be able to take money if they're garnishing you. It could be on your income. It could be how many dependents you have. It could be several things. Every state is a little bit different. And he says here, should he just pay it off? If you should do a settlement rather than just paying it off. You should contact them first and ask them if you paid them, start at like 20%. If you can pay them 20%, would they consider it paid in full? Because what you can do is you can kind of get them thinking like, well, maybe in the future you won't be able to make these payments. So you could say that that you would like to negotiate a one-time lump sum payment, and at least put it in their head, because a lot of them will go ahead and take that because they don't know. Maybe you might stop paying payments one day. You got another one, Larry? You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Pulling them right here. Got a couple more, and then I got to get up out of here.
Okay. All right. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Let's see. I'm just gonna pick some that I see from the last. I think I got about 8 left. I have two collections, same company, VLNV. Can you guys communicate with them for me for a pay to delete?
Yeah, we can do that. You can contact us at the number. We can when you can just contact us at the number 866-803-5781, and we can make when you talk to Greg, just let him know you want to move straight to the settlement process. All right, let's just burn through them because I know you got to get going.
Okay. It said if you had a repossession and got the car back and it is reported claimed, what is the method do I use to try and remove it?
You don't want to, if you got it, if you got the car back, you want to have them put positive, just report positive.
Okay.
Because if you take it off, you're going to make your credit go down, your score go down.
Okay. I want to pay the collection company, but how can I make them remove negative reports?
When you negotiate it, that's when you negotiate that in there. They'll all do pay for deletion, but you got to do that at the beginning, or you're gonna have to do a lot of work to do it on the backside.
Okay. Okay. And I have, if a creditor change its name or sell the company, would that debt still be valid, or can the new company come after the debt?
The new company can come after the debt, but you should do a debt validation and make them prove the debt. Watch my videos here on YouTube on how to do a debt validation. And if that company didn't transfer everything over, you will see that that new company will send you a letter saying that they're going to cease collection activity.
Okay. Okay. And it says the debt was sold to a collection agency, but the card institution charged off. I have since then paid off in a settlement.
Yeah, see, that was like from what we just said.
Right.
You should negotiate that at the beginning. But right now, what you should just do is do obsolete account on both of them.
Okay.
At
And
minimum for the collector, it could be paid positive.
okay, and the last question I have, it says, I want to send a validation letter to AFNI Incorporated. They sent the letter to my home address in February. Is it too late to send in validation?
It could be, but you should just go ahead and do it. It could be because that company that's a portfolio company that buys a lot of old debt. Go ahead and do it. Let them determine if they're gonna, allow it or not. Even if they don't allow it, it's not gonna matter. Uh, if they take you to court, you're gonna do the validation again. The only thing that happens when you don't respond is that you give them permission to put it on your credit. You can always ask for the validation after that.
Okay. Okay, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us this week.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time too, Larry.
And I'd like to apologize for all the questions that we didn't get to.
Yeah, I'll be in there this weekend answering. I set aside some hours to go through these comments, and hopefully in these videos we can answer a lot of them too.
Okay.
All right.